While you're at it, you had made mention of China and the fact that they operate one-child policy. That was a program that was invented and implemented by the Chinese government sometime
Yes.
around 1980. And in 2015, 2016, they made some adjustments to allow for 2 kids.
Okay.
Right. So recently, I think early this month, they now made it 3. Right. So since there seems to be a controversy around the population control, and since you admitted that the government are a little bit overwhelmed with what to do with the population, do you think the birth control policy is something that might work at this point in time?
It's absolutely wrong to talk about that for Nigeria. That's why I was going to answer to Chigozie, who said he didn't agree with me. He doesn't have to agree. But the point is, we haven't done all that we need to do. And we're talking about population control. Things are not that bad. Like Odaze said, excellently, articulated. If we do all that we're supposed to do, Nigeria is not overwhelmed by population. 200 million, 250 million is not bad for Nigeria, given our land mass and the resources we have. So we haven't done all we have to do. We haven't created jobs. We haven't, we've not opened up the different, mineral resources for exploration. We're not making all the income that we can make, and we're talking about population control. It's a lazy man's, policy, for Nigeria. That would be a lazy man's policy. So anybody that doesn't agree, it's their prerogative to not agree. But I am saying that trying to control population in Nigeria is wrong at this point. We are not overwhelmed. We are just not doing what we're supposed to do. So did that answer your question?
Okay, yes.
Now, Moses Okere talked about, getting back to technical education. I totally agree. We must take back STEM, science, how do you call it? STEM, you know what it means?
Yeah, STEM.
Yeah, we need to go
STEM
back
education.
there. That's right. We need to make Nigeria a skill-based economy, right? We must not condemn people who don't have university certificates to die because they don't have one. It's not the end of the world if you don't have a university certificate. There are diplomas that you can get. There are technical vocations that you can get and still be successful. It happens in Europe. Okay, so I agree with him totally. The young man who came to advertise his American citizenship, I want to tell him that American citizenship is not a professional career. That you're an American citizen doesn't give you capacity to know how to solve the problem. Many of us also are foreign citizens as well, so that shouldn't be a thing to brag on. But what I want to say is it the UK that has stolen our resources right from 1914 or even beyond, stolen resources from Nigeria and built Europe based on resources stolen from Africa? Are they the people you're asking me to be grateful to? The UK, through Shell and some of their companies who are stealing millions of barrels of oil every day in Nigeria that Nigerians cannot account for, are they the people that you're saying I should be grateful to? The people that subjugated our fathers, maltreated our people who come, develop diseases, launch them in Africa to be able to sell drugs, are these the people you're asking me to be grateful to? You see, the problem is that when people have slave mentality, they are not able to identify that their master, the slave master, is the problem. They kind of love the slave master more than they love themselves. The truth is that we must emancipate ourselves from mental slavery. It is time Nigeria begins to look inward and stop looking outside. The UK, I insist, I lived in Europe, so I know what I'm talking about. The UK and Europe doesn't want the best for Africa. Now, how are you advising us to eliminate subsidy? You know why? Because loans that you have taken need to be paid, right? And as long as you continue to sell fuel and make good profit, it ensures that you're going to be able to pay them. So they want to make sure you're making money through oil to pay, the loans you've taken. The advice to eliminate subsidy is not a good advice. The way forward for Nigeria will be to fix the refineries, produce locally, cut down cost on production, and the commodity will end up being cheap for everybody, and you won't need to talk about subsidy. Then somebody talked about sports. I agree that sports can employ a lot of labor, and I talked about agriculture because that's what the common man can easily go into. There are other sectors of the economy that we can advance and make a lot of money. So I hope that's clear. Population control, I talked about that. I know Daze made a beautiful statement that population is not overwhelming Nigeria yet. If we can open up the economy to investment, if you can do the right things, provide 24-hour power, provide security, you can find out that Nigerians can actually begin to make money and take care of themselves, and everybody will be happy. So that's what it is, basically.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Tony, for your time today. As always, it's always a pleasure having you around.